Thank you so much for staying with us. In the aftermath of Manchester United's humiliating defeat away to rivals Liverpool on Sunday, manager Erik ten Hag labelled his team's performance as unprofessional. Liverpool ran riot at Anfield, scoring 7 unanswered goals past the shambolic Manchester United defence. The defeat was Manchester United's joint worst defeat in its history. Ten Hag says his team lost its composure in the second half of the game.
After half-time, so quickly gave the game away. First 2 goals, 2 defensive transition moments. First was a turnover, second was a counter. And we make such bad decisions in matter of decisions on the ball. It was in the first one, obviously, but then how we anticipate, how we conceded goal. It's really annoying. And then the third was a counter, and also so unprofessional about decisions, not following in, then running in, moving forward, giving the space away in the back in the midfield, not tracking back, and especially that one, not tracking back. So and then it's 3-0, then it's the game loss, but then as a team you have to stick together, and that is what we didn't do, and that was a surprise for me. I haven't seen this from my team, and I don't think it's us. I don't think it's Manchester United. So it's really bad and poor.
Well, joining us to help dissect this result is our in-house football analyst, Leger Williams. Leger, I have to say, I felt like I was in dreamland over the weekend, but I'll start before we get to the meat of the matter and we start to dissect, just by the comments that we heard from manager Erik ten Hag, describing his bunch of players that has been, I think, producing the results for him as very unprofessional.
Yeah, I think a couple of his players, namely his captain, Bruno Fernandes, it wasn't a good performance by him, and he compounded that by his actions, really. He decided to not really show himself in a positive light, and in terms of the professionalism of his players, he then went on to talk about how they just weren't showing enough effort generally, So once they got into the nitty-gritty of the game, once the hard times came in the game, they just decided to give up, basically. So that was the professionalism I thought that he was referring to when he said that's not Manchester United.
Yeah, when Erik ten Hag goes back to the drawing board, takes his notes and speaks to the players, what are some of the things that he would be most disappointed in with this Manchester United performance?
Basically the effort of the team, but I think he also needs to look into himself, because yes, Manchester United have been on a very good run of form, but he made some very brave and costly mistakes in the end in that game. Liverpool is always a very difficult place to go. Manchester United have not been performing well there specifically, so it was always going to be a tough ask, and he went there and he tried to be forward thinking and front foot attacking wise with the pressing and such, and his team weren't ready for that, and Liverpool ate them up, really.
I listened to you this morning and you had a lot to say about Manchester United's performance, as in you felt like this was coming. Tell us more.
It was coming. If you think about it, they have a lot of issues. I think, namely, it starts in midfield. I'd like to talk about, say, for instance, over the past couple of weeks, I've been noticing that Casemiro, especially, has been a very sloppy with his passing in comparison to...
But he's been a good player for them, though.
Yeah, and in a defensive sense, he's been very good, but...
The distribution.
Distribution-wise, when it comes on to, especially since they've lost Eriksen, if you compare him now with the elite defensive midfielders in the Premier League, his passing accuracy, as you can say, pales in comparison. That 77% passing accuracy is in the bottom 25% of central midfielders in the Premier League. His progressive passes per 90, only 5, close to 6. That's 71 percentile in the Premier League. His progressive carries to make up for that, only in the bottom 15%. Passes into the final third, only 5 of that. And it's just not going well for him on the ball. He's been a bit too brave on the ball. He's been passing it very carelessly, not really adhering to the game state, because as a 6, he's playing in the hole, he's playing in the pivot. And Manchester United, when they're playing, they play with a 3-1-6 formation. Yeah. So he has a lot of responsibility to build up play and get other people involved. So when he's always trying to find the killer ball or the killer pass, that disrupts the flow of the game and doesn't allow Manchester United to build up effectively. And that's been on display for his past 5 games now, where his last 5 pass accuracies over the last 5 games has been 62, 81, 58, 68, and then 65%. That's not what you want from a controlling midfielder.
The stats we just looked at included yesterday's result?
Yes, it did.
Or it was pre-game?
It was included yesterday's result as well.
So you aren't in agreement with Ten Hag then, because post-match Ten Hag did suggest that what he saw there wasn't Manchester United, and he did suggest that he was surprised by what he saw. You, Ligier, are suggesting that you weren't surprised. So you know more about Man United than the coach?
No, I mean, but he's always going to say what he's going to say. He's the coach. He's going to always want to paint things in a positive light to, keep pressure off his players.
But he didn't, though. He said they weren't professional.
Yeah, it's half and half, Catch-22, you have to compliment them and then
hit them,
scare them. He was probably very harsh on them in the dressing room.
Yeah, I suspect he was, yeah.
But if you think about Manchester United and their past results, especially post-World Cup, yes, they've been winning games, they've been doing well. They won a trophy just last week against Newcastle, which is a good team. But if you delve deeper into their results, you think about the Leicester game at home, for example, they won that game 3-0. They allowed 1 XG to Leicester in the first 20 minutes of that game. 1 XG for a team that can finish, say for instance, like Liverpool, that's equivalent to 2-3 goals. You get me? So if they're going to allow continuously that to teams, they're going to suffer. Against Leeds away, they allowed 1.9 XG. So people are going to say, okay, they only allowed 2.72 XG to Liverpool in that game there. Liverpool have exceptional finishers, Gakpo, Nunes, Salah, Firmino. They're going to use those half chances and turn them into goals. So they can't expect to get away with it like they did against Leicester and Leeds forever. Yeah. So that's why my analysis was that they're going to face a good team and they're going to get a shellacking. They did get a shellacking. I didn't expect it to be 7, of course. I'm very happy it was 7. But, it was coming and that's why it was done.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in the past couple of weeks, we've seen Liverpool beaten by Real Madrid. We've seen Liverpool fail to beat Crystal Palace. So Liverpool didn't exactly go into this game, high on an impressive form based on their log. So what was it about Liverpool? I know the Anfield experience is very adrenaline-like for the Liverpool team, but would the Anfield atmosphere be a part of why Liverpool were so strong on Sunday?
It's a huge part. I would put it down to 3 things. Liverpool do a lot of things that Manchester United don't do well. So firstly, the atmosphere, big deal. That Liverpool, it's unlike any other atmosphere in the world, really. Secondly, Manchester United struggle when they're pressed. Against Leeds, as I mentioned, Leeds is one of the best pressing teams in the division, the second best passes per defensive action in the entire Premier League. They struggled away to Leeds. They struggled away at Arsenal as well. And then also when you couple that with the fact that they struggle in their press because they don't have good ball playing and they have hurried ball playing in the middle of the park. And you as, both of you guys as football fans know, if you don't have calmness in the middle of the park, especially when you're being pressed, you're going to get exploited. And that happened again and again and again. It happened 7 times at Anfield. So, as I said, they were due a shellacking, even if I think back to the Arsenal game. I personally think Arsenal played a better game against United than Liverpool did. But because the game finished 3-2, people are just going to look at the result and say, Arsenal, that's a close game. No. Arsenal in that game, 2.68 XG to Liverpool's 2.72. They only allowed Manchester United 0.39 XG in that game. It was a wonder Rashford strike, which was worth less than 0.1 XG that even gave them their goal, and a corner. You can't constantly rely on set pieces because corners only score 3 to 4% of the time in football. Arsenal also had 63 touches in the box in that game. That's the second most in Europe's top 5 leagues. In this season, so
we hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, I'm wondering though how difficult it is for you to be spending the last 10 minutes talking about Manchester United when your team Arsenal had so much to offer over the weekend, showing heart, guts, and a riveting kind of performance, which we don't see very often from an Arsenal team of the past. Let me emphasize of the past, because this Arsenal setup looks a little different. So you have the platform now to talk about your team.
Well, Sir Lance, I'm very glad you said of the past, because this is a new regime. We're under the second youngest manager in the league now. We have the youngest squad in the league. Arteta is building something so special with these guys. it's a very special squad. They have so much quality all across the squad. Well, I'm very glad that he was a youngster, someone who came up from the Arsenal Academy in Reece Nelson, who scored. So I'm very happy for that as well. I'm very happy about Arsenal generally, and I'm hoping that we'll go on to win the title. There's still some time left. You know what happens in title races. It can get nitty-gritty. So, Mariah, I know you would love for...
There's a lot of time left, and I'm going to cut him, just like Manchester City will cut his winning streak. We're out of time. We'll have to chat again some more. I know we can go on and on about these results, but we gotta go.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, break time here now on the SportsMax 7. Stay with SportsMax on YouTube and follow us on all social pages for updates, news, and entertainment.